Rudolph SPEID will, in short order, become a member of the Jamaica National Senior ReggaeBoyz coaching staff.
Welcome back. Happy to be here again. Happy to be here. It's been like 4 to 5 days since me do a video. You understand? But you're doing the ships. We want to talk about what happened on Saturday over the weekend. The Richard King debut goal, and also I want to touch on is it that McCLAREN new appointed assistant coach will be Rudolph SPEID in the near future. We have 6 weeks ahead of us before the FIFA window in September. You understand? But they said MERRON, which is Reading man over here, is out. I don't know. The famous one said that. One of the most famous journalists, media personnel in Jamaica as well, said MERRON took another position at I don't even know where MERRON is at this moment, but according to his reports, MERRON took another position, so that's why he's not at the helm anymore at the national team as the assistant coach. I don't buy that story, but Rudolph SPEID, as he said, might be the new assistant coach going forward. Something spooky. I'm going to get there as well, but I want to talk about the Richard King right after this. So it's been a frenzy around Jamaican space where all the social media content creators been posting Richard King penalty kick on his debut, his home debut, his first goal for the football club. And I must say, like, that is a wonderful thing to see, to be honest, because being watching the game, not live, but I watched the highlights of the game. But looking at the highlights of the game, they scored 3 goals first, and the team scored got 3-1. The team scored got 3-2. Then boom, Richard King team get a penalty, and I was like, who's going to kick the penalty? Richard King. Yeah, Richard King stepped up and kicked the penalty. That shows that this is a team that is believe in Richard King. We saw what he did in the Unity Cup. We saw what he did in previous outings for Cavalier Football Club. So he's done it for both club and country before he trying to put this team. This shows me that this kid is a highly rated king in the ranks of St. Mirren. The coach talks so much good things about Richard King. That shows that this is a key signing for St. Mirren team going forward, and the leaders on the football pitch to trust Richard King to score that goal to go 4-2, because remember, the team was on a little bit of a momentum trying to get back into the game. This, mind you, this was a League 2 team in Scotland. So you have the Scottish Premiership, the Championship, League 1 and League 2. So they're 3 tier below the Scottish Premiership. 3 tier low. So it's not one of those established clubs that that probably on the day they are the favorite to beat St. Mirren. No, St. Mirren was an overwhelming favorite, but for the leaders on the football pitch to give Richard King that moment for himself, to get on the score sheet for his debut goal in front of his own crowd, that says a lot. And for the coach, maybe not to say anything or utter anything out of his mouth like, hey, we need an experienced player, we need a proven goal scorer to step up and kick that penalty kick. But Richard King slapped that one. Sent the keeper the wrong way. But that showed me that this player for this club is a key player going forward, and for him to have the confidence, I might be the one that who demand the football like, hey, I need this penalty kick. Who knows if Richard King is a penalty kicker going forward for this football club? We don't know, but let's see what's going to happen in the near future. But I'm going to say this: if Richard King asks for the football, he demand the ball to step up and kick that penalty. That shows that the character of this player, that shows that the confidence he have on his home debut, in a little moment where his team need to go 2 goals ahead of the opponent, to just have some leg room in the game and try to get back into the game and try to find back the balance of that game. And they were on the back foot for a little moment, and the team took 2 opportunities and got on the score sheet twice and bring the game 1 goal away from getting tied on that day. In that moment, Richard King stepped up, slapped the ball in the back of the net 4-2. That showed me that this is a player who have big heart. This is a player that, willing to do anything to help his team. But again, that shows that he's a player with leadership and self-belief, his character, second to none. You understand? The confidence to step up and do that. You have to give him the credit. But again, the coach have said a few stuff before and after the game. So the first video that I'm going to play is what the coach giving a little bit of update on John Morrow Calvin and why the player haven't been announced as yet. You understand? For the St. Miriam Football Club officially, and also he give a little bit on takes on their tragedy in the transfer market of dipping in the Jamaican market and looking for cheap bargain with big potential that can go on to give the club some profit in the transfer market as well and to help their football club. And this is what the coach have to say in his press conference building up for that game on Saturday.
What's the latest on Jamaro Calvin? He had his work permit hearing yesterday.
Yeah, we're hoping we get that completed today or early next week. Jamaro is somebody we've liked for a long time. Again, we've got good connections with Cavalier in Jamaica, who won the league in Jamaica and are producing a lot of really, really good, fast, quality players. And Jamaro was somebody that we liked. He got a young player the Concave tournament as well, so he had something different, real pace and energy in the wide areas or through the middle, and we're just waiting for paperwork now. So nothing's done until it's done in football, but we're hopeful that can get done in the next 2 or 3 days.
Are those kind of different avenues and markets something that the club are specifically looking into? Like obviously seeing Richard joining as well, possibly Jamaro coming from the same club.
We have to. We've got no choice. To compete now with the money in Scottish football, the money in non-league football in England is incredible. So for us to compete, we have to have diverse markets. We have to look elsewhere. We went into Australia, one of the first clubs to maybe go in and get 2 players. Now everybody's doing it, and that market's now out of our league now as well to an extent. So we have to continue to be clever with it. It's something that the Jamaican market and the market over there is something we've looked at for a little while now. You have to do your due diligence, and the 2 players that really stood out for us were Jamaro and Richard. Hopefully we can get Jamaro in and again try and be a little bit inventive with our signings, trying to sign pace and energy that I believe hurts teams in Scotland.
I'm quite interested in the logistics of all that, Stephen, looking at different markets. Who's kind of responsible for that? Is that you? Was it Martin Foyle? Is it now new Chief Scout John Park? How does it all work? Yeah,
myself and Martin were aware of Richard through my agent actually. My agent Phil Lacano's got a lot of good contacts out there. So it was Phil that alerted us to Richard first of all. We didn't do it in January, we just felt at that stage we weren't doing particularly well. And it was a little bit of a risk. We wanted to make sure it was a little bit more of a solid signing, so to speak, that we knew lots about. But in between times, we've done a lot more research, got a lot more feedback from Steve McCLAREN and Paul Simpson, 2 guys that have managed at the top end of the game, and then grew that relationship with RUDOLPH SPEID, the owner of Cavalier and the coach at Cavalier, who's done a fantastic job as well. And that's what you have to do, and then you try and cherry pick the very best players and build up relationships with them clubs. We're doing it at the lower end in terms of our agreements with Dumbarton and Clydebank, and we'll try and do that with other clubs in the league. And you have to try and do that. You have to be diverse, and you have to come up with some new things.
Yeah, Steve McCLAREN, I was reading, he's, in terms of a referee, his reference is glowing in terms of Richard.
Yeah, in terms of both of them, it's something that the hearing yesterday, Steve has given his view on Jamaro as well, and Richard, and he's been very, very vocal about where he thinks Richard can play and where he can go to. I will temper expectations a little bit of this will be new to Richard, the game, the pace of the game, the physicality of the game may be slightly different, but certainly he's got all the raw ingredients and raw attributes to be very successful. And Jamaro is a young boy, probably a little bit further behind Richard, but we see a lot of real potential if we can get him over the line.
So, the coach have said a lot of stuff, and I'm hoping that, the coaches in Jamaica is taking keen notice of what, not just this coach, not just this, football club, but for the wider scheme, a lot of countries is looking at Jamaica, the Caribbean, and also they have been doing for the last year, decades of decades looking at Africa for cheap bargains, yes, Jamaica is a target destination for smaller market teams just like St. Mirren. The coach said something in the video like, yo, listen, they cannot compete. Yeah, and I told you guys this already. These football clubs in Scotland outside of Rangers and Celtic, they can't really compete with the big boys in the English market. You know, St. Mirren, they told you that, look, League 1, League 2, and even go down to the Bush League, National League, National North League and so on. It's difficult for them to compete with these clubs in terms of giving the players big salary and buying these players and massive transfer fee. They just cannot. So they're looking at the Jamaican market, and this is the second clip of what the coach have said.
A home debut for Richard King, and he's capped it off with a goal from the penalty spot. How pleased were you with his contributions?
Yeah, Richard's, we've gone very slowly with him. He's had a lot of football in the last year. We believe he's got real potential. Going to be a very, very good signing for us, but we have to temper the expectations a little bit. It's Jamaican football's a lot different than Scottish football, a lot more physical, but he's a boy that can handle that. He'll get better with coaching, he'll get better in terms of the defensive side, but I think today you can see how composed he is on the ball. His qualities are there for everyone to see, and we believe he'll grow.
So, you know, seems like the coach really, not seems, but the coach highly rated Richard King, respect Richard King. You know, needs to work on his, you know, the other side of his game, but Richard King is one of, you know, he's like everywhere he goes at this moment, you know, for in the Jamaican Premier League, he's actually probably the best ball-playing defender in the league. For the national team, he's up there amongst some of the best defenders as the better ball-playing defender in the national team. And for St. Mirren, seems like he's one of the better player again as a ball carrier, a ball handler at the back. But again, you know, a lot of people might say, you know, he need to work on his defensive side of the game, his position awareness. These things will come in handy with proper coaching, proper guidance, and playing against, you know, tougher opposition teams. He will learn. You understand? He's in terms of as a defender, he's still young to the game. He's still young to the game, and he will gain a lot of experience and get a lot of exposure. But again, playing in the League Cup, you know, I mean, against teams in League 2, League 1, in the Championship, yeah, you know, it's smaller rated teams, you know, lesser quality teams. But again, this is the start you expect. This is the start you really want to get your feet wet. And they said, look, it's still helping the player to get settled in the league. So it seems like this is the perfect club for Richard King to go to. Yeah, it seems that this was the perfect club for him to sign for, and it's just happened that he signed for St. Mirren because of you know who. Sometimes, you know, transfer deals, you need extra people to pull certain weight so transfer can get over the line, and that's what exactly done for Richard King deal. But again, it's just the perfect opportunity for him to, you know, to build the Richard King brand, you know, to establish the Richard King brand in the UK. Because if he continue to perform, look, the UK going down south in the Premier League Championship, it will happen very soon, or anywhere outside of England, you understand, or outside of the UK, a bigger deal will come. But if he continue to play like this, one day this player will get a bigger paycheck, and the club, hopefully the club can make at least some profit, you understand. And actually, Cavalier must have a sell-on clause of something in this deal. If this player goes on to propel to the next level, they will have a next, you know, piece of money to get in a sell-on clause. Hopefully, probably have like 5 to 10% of the future transfer fee of Richard King after St. Mirren. You understand? But I mean, I want to move on to the next thing, where it might be potentially Rudolph SPEID to be the new assistant coach for Steve McCLAREN. Why? You can't make up that one, yeah. This one look really spooky. Yes, this one look really spooky. But listen to, you know, Oral Tracy said it on his platform.
But we hear some speculations out there about Rudolph SPEID, the Cavalier boss, and becoming a part of the national coaching staff. Me can't tell you from now. Me not tell you from now. I'm a people over all of the fence. I need for people over. Remember me telling you this morning, you know, Rudolph SPEID will, in short order, become a member of the Jamaica national senior reggaeboyz coaching staff. And I know Speed me talk to. Speed never mentioned this to me. I don't know, so me and Speed have a good rapport, but I know Speed me talk to. But me understand based on peeping over some fence. Say Speed will shortly, it will be official, be a part of the coaching staff. Good thing or bad thing, people? Good thing or bad thing? Can't be a bad thing. If the consensus says Speed, one of the top, not one of, the top coach in Jamaica right now in a football.
But this is not just oral traces said it. These things have been whispered around amongst ones and ones in around the football. Yeah, this is something that we are whisper for the longest while now, that one day or in the near future, Rudolph Speed will be a part of the coaching staff for the national team. Is it going to be the head coach, or is it going to be some part amongst the assistant crews? You understand? And for Oral Tracy to come out and say that means something kinda goes off for real. You understand? Reddickman, where is Reddickman? Oral Tracy have said that, look, Reddickman, him get a new position, him get a new job, and him left because he get a new job. Me don't really buy that story. You understand? Me don't really buy that story. Which job Coach MERRON Garden I got get that bigger than his current coaching role that he just helped the team in the Gold Cup? You understand? He was on the coaching staff in the Gold Cup. We don't know if he's going to be on the coaching staff for the upcoming World Cup qualifier game. But which job though, Reddickman, would I get that bigger than the national team as an assistant coach? Which job out there that Reddickman really would I get? That kind of looks spooky. But go back to the Speed. Monroe, Cavalier, the chairman for the committee board, and one of the top boys, the instructors for the coaching education in Jamaica. Which jobs will he give up to take up the assistant role? And you can't tell me that Rudolph Speed will be the assistant manager for the national team and all of the positions that he have at this moment. That will be just too ridiculous. That will be even more calling for conflict of interest. Will you satisfy to see Rudolph Speed be the new assistant coach for the national team, to be Steve McCLAREN right-handed? But again, this kind of spooky. This seems like if Steve McCLAREN to lose his post, to lose his job in the near future, if the ship capsize and tilt over and get crashed out, or if it's supposed to be an emergency to get rid of McCLAREN, guess who will be in line for the job? The assistant coach. Will Rudolph Speed recruit him own self? Because this is a man that recruit coaches to coach the national teams, from the youth teams to the senior teams. Will he recruit his own self? Will he resign from his post in Jamaican football? Yeah? We don't know. But again, when you talk about success, when you're talking about the coaching license, his resume is okay for a local coach. Very successful, back-to-back Premier League, beating the giant, the powerhouse team in back-to-back Premier League, Caribbean Cup winners. Yeah? Bring Messi come to Jamaica. I mean, not just bring Messi, but get to, in a deep, get deeper into the CONCACAF Champions League tournament. Yeah? Went into the last two CONCACAF, Champions League knockout rounds. Played Cincinnati of last year. Played Inter Miami of this year. So he's going places in the CONCACAF. Yeah, or he went places in the CONCACAF Champions League. He helped this team to get there. So it shows that he's one of the better coach in this region on paper and success that he had. So we can't really look at, okay, because he had those success, he's still not qualified. I'm not saying that. Look, if he's going to give up some of his posts in around football in Jamaica, it's okay. But again, it still looks spooky. He's not the most likable person around the football. Reading man, MERRON Garden is not the most likable. I think at this moment, people more hate Reading man than as RUDOLPH, to be honest. People more hate. And look at it this way. The ship sink in the Gold Cup. And Oral Chase say, MERRON Garden get a new position. Which position that MERRON Garden would I get, which is higher than the assistant post for the national team? So, because the ship crash, hypothetically speaking, they're going to sack the assistant coach. This is just me that's saying this. They're going to sack the assistant coach and keep the head coach, who didn't even take accountability for his action and his stupidity in terms of selections. And RUDOLPH, who didn't recruit properly for the coach to have his best coaching staff and the people to assist him in the last tournament. He might got hire himself, or JFF got hire and put him on that staff. We don't know. Food for thoughts, people. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. You understand? This is the direction of where our football is going at this moment. We are going to have the chairman for the committee board for the national team to be assistant coach. Something looks spooky. I think somebody is setting up themselves in the perfect way of getting the glory of, because it's an easier pathway with more lesser opposition quality teams, where when you look at the players that the national team have for the reggaeboyz national team should maneuver in, should take care of business in this group stage. Somebody's looking or setting up themselves for success, to say that they are the one bring the national team to the World Cup. And if McCLAREN to crash out tomorrow and that man are the assistant coach, yeah, and him I gonna get the glory, and you gotta hear you're not gonna hear the end of that story about him getting the team to America, Mexico and Canada. So again, food for thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Rumble in the jungle for the national team. RUDOLPH expect to be the national team assistant crew going forward. Let me know. And I would love to know if this will happen. Because if this happen, man, a lot of people around the football not going to be happy. Especially with him have so many different posts, from coach to recruiter to technical director for a club in the local space in Jamaica. I mean, Cavalier, I'm food basket. Look how much money he make for Cavalier. Food for thoughts again. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. People, I'm out. Catch a video early tomorrow morning talking about more Jamaican players. Yeah? Ciao, ciao, people. I'm back.